Good evening, welcome to ExPat InSights. I'm your host Raju Mandhian. Here at ExPat InSights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats and immigrants who have made Philippines their home. This week being the 62nd Republic Day of India, our guests are Indians who are not really Indians but Filipino Indians. No, not really Filipino Indians but global Indians. Indians who were born and raised here but have now conquered the world, so to say. So my guests tonight are a very young couple, not really a couple again, but friends who've just met. Ms.Shana Dagni Siap, born and raised in Cebu, half Filipino, half Chinese, 100% Cebuana, lives in Chicago and rules Chicago. And my other guest, Gautam Dadlani, Executive Director of the Filipino-Indian Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines, born and raised in the Philippines, and now is a businessman and a social worker. And we are here to talk about how it is to be a Filipino-Indian in a world that is fast flattening on this 62nd Republic Day of India. Welcome to ExPat InSights, Shana and Gautam.
Thank you, Raju.
Thanks for having us on. Thank you.
So, how does it feel to be a Phil-Indian? Let's start with that. Tell us a bit about your being young people or kids in this country. How was it back in the 70s or 60s or 50s when you were born? You born in 50s or 80s?
40s actually.
Okay, 40s actually. How about you, Gautam?
30s.
30s. Okay, so tell us about the life at that time.
Back in my day, it's very different growing up, especially since I'm half Indian, half Filipino Chinese. And so it's not that I never really fit in, but I felt like I fit in both cultures. And it's great when you have the best of both. And I think I can probably speak for you too, where you grow up in this culture and it's different from your ethnic background and different from your own mother culture, but it's great because you know more, you feel more, you're just aware of more, and you get the best of both worlds and maybe a little of the not so things of both worlds. But it feels great.
How does it happen?
How does
you know more, feel more, see more? How does it happen?
Well, I have family on my mom's side, and my mom's the Indian, and she has 52 first cousins, and that makes 52 first cousins. And
your grandfather must have been very active.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So that's the good part. That's the good part. That's the fun part. And my dad, he doesn't have nearly as much as my mom, but they're both cultures. I think it's the Asian cultures in them. They're both very involved in the growth of an individual from before they're even born or thought about the time that they leave that person's life. And when you have a family that's involved, you get sort of soaked or bombarded or filled with culture, with knowledge, with wisdom, not just from parents. And it's different when you're in America, where you have, most of the time it's just the mom or dad, or in more unfortunate cases, just the mom or just the dad taking care of a child, and you just have that one source of wisdom and information. And
when you wind up, let me know so I can ask a question.
Okay, I'll wind up.
Okay, you wrapped up.
I'll wrap it up right there.
Dad was Chinese and mom was Indian, and
yes.
He made chicken curry and he made
noodles. He didn't make anything. He brought me to the streets in Cebu, which is where I'm from.
Kung Fu. And
taught me Kung Fu, yeah.
And you spoke Cebuano on the streets.
I spoke Cebuano on the streets. So he was a Filipino part.
Never did you say that, hey, I'm different. I'm like Rudolph in this country. Did you ever feel that way on the streets? Not inside the house, outside on the street. Did you ever feel like I'm out of place here? You did?
Oh, yeah, but it wasn't an out-of-place feeling. It was like a very welcoming feeling. Yeah, I'm good. I'm set.
Right. Gautam, you, a little bit about yourself. Born and raised in Metro Manila, or?
Born and raised over here. I studied over here. Basically, I've lived here all my life. And I travel to India about once a year. And of course, this is primary home for me. India would be a secondary home. And it's a good opportunity to compare the differences and the similarities, and you learn from both sides. You take what you like, you scrap what you don't like, and that's basically
So when you think, or when you did your thinking as a kid, Did you think through a Filipino screen, Filipino glasses, Filipino mindset, or an Indian mindset on the streets? You know, when you have to survive on the streets, of course, at home you are safe. Yeah, but when you went out to school or out on the streets to play basketball with your kaibigans or barkada, what did you see the world as?
I think at an early age I was able to see both, because there are some distinct differences at home that are, you know, very different outside, and at the same time you can see how you have to adapt, and you're happy to adapt, and you land up somewhere in the middle. You know, you just it's like sweet and sour sauce. You know, you get a bit of this, a bit of that.
Right. So let me just take one more question from him. What was the most exciting part of being Indian, born and raised in the Philippines, or being a Fil-Indian when you were young? What was the fun thing? Hey, man, this is so amazing, my life here. Was there anything?
I think it was just being a kid. Going back to those days, yeah. Regardless
you can
of...
be a kid anywhere in the world, but
that's true.
You, Shana, anything that you wouldn't want to give up from your past?
You know, honestly, there are way too many, but for the sake of giving an answer, I would say it's food.
Cebuano food?
No, just both Indian and Cebuano.
Oh, the Chinese Indian food. Chinese Indian food.
I'm a bit of a foodie.
Okay.
Apart from the love that my family gives me.
Here's how we set up the show. No? In a few minutes, we'll take a break.
Okay.
Yeah? For a commercial break, we'll come back and ask you a lot about what you're doing currently and how the world looks to you. But before we do that, I want to know, what is it that you do? How do you describe your profession? What keeps you busy?
I'm into home furnishing, so basically I manage a small family business, and that
home furnishings as in like sofa sets, dining tables?
Mostly linens, bed linens,
okay.
Very small business that we've established some time ago, and that's basically it. Yeah.
And were you trained for that, or did you just adapt into a family business?
I think I did adapt, but of course I took management, and I think, you know, the younger generation sees that there are certain things that we didn't do in the past that need to be done now. So that's the case with everybody who has moved into their family business. You know, professionalizing it.
So traditional business, no?
Traditional.
Shana, Siap, Ms. Dagni Siap. Where does the Dagni come from? That was Chinese, and Mom was Indian, and you were born. Where does Dagni come from?
Dagni is actually from a book called Atlas Shrugged. She's the heroine in that book by Ayn Rand.
Yeah, Ayn Rand, one of my favorite.
It's a very lengthy book.
Who gave you that?
My dad, and
I figured.
He broke the rule. As soon as I was delivered, he was like, "Welcome to the world, Dagny." And my grandmother was like, "Chayo, why did you name her? You're not supposed to do that."
Kudos to your dad for naming you Dagny, for being an independent and a brave woman of the future. So let's take that break. We have a little video that's a little bit Indian, but it talks about global integration. So we put that video on and come back and talk to you about what life is from where you are today.
Okay.
All right, let's take that break, and there's a video coming up on how to be global Indian. Stay with us. Good evening. Welcome back to ExPat InSights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhian, and I'm talking to some very young guests of mine on the occasion of the 62nd Republic Day of India, and they are part Indian. So we were talking about your youth in the Philippines, no? But now, given that you said what do you do professionally, Shana?
I'm a performer.
What does that mean, performer? I mean, like cook, clean, wash?
Yes. Clean the toilet.
Like sing?
I sing, dance, act, and I anchor, I direct, I produce music, and I also teach.
So what part of the Chinese, Indian, Cebuano culture drove you into that?
You know what? I don't know. That's a good question. I think the confidence that's from both sides of the family.
Yes. But were you trained for this?
My mom actually went into theater. She broke the tradition, because everyone was in business and she was the youngest, and she went into theater, brought me up in a theatrical environment, put up a theater school, in Cebu, and I've loved doing it all my life, and now I am, putting both feet forward.
You're all dipping right into it.
Diving right into it.
Mind, body and soul.
Mind, body and soul.
So we'll talk about what you do, and if you have examples or samples aside, we'll hear from you, or you'll tell us about it, no? And you said you're in the traditional business, right?
Yes.
And your mom didn't go into the traditional business. But let me ask you this question together, no? How do you see India today? Everybody talks of India becoming the next superpower. And from where you are today, you don't know the history of India, of course. You were not there in the 30s, 40s, and 50s when India was having a hard time. How does India look to you from where you are today? Gautam.
Well, I think they've really progressed. The country has really progressed from a socialist form of government that looked inside and looked at sustaining everything for the country.
Yeah.
And today they're a global performer. You know, people will still argue and say China is still the manufacturing capital of the world.
Yeah.
But I have to say, as far as the service industry goes, India really is the #1. And slowly they're catching up with manufacturing as well. For countries in Europe and in the Middle East, they will still prefer dealing with India because of the proximity, the ease of being able to ship instead of China. And
you're talking of physical trade goods when you talk about Europe and Middle East, okay?
Yeah. There are other things, biotechnology, that's a field that a lot of people don't really look at, but crop engineering is something that India is very, very good at.
You mean like agriculture?
Agriculture, yeah. Genetically engineering different crops for the weather patterns that we're seeing these days that are not very good. Heavy equipment, construction, mining. India has oil also. There's a lot of things that India has, and of course we have a lot of people. So
1.1 billion going, and you're spreading across the world. You now live in Chicago, Shana.
Yes.
How does India look to you from where you are, since you were not exposed so much to India being in Cebu, no? How does it appear to you globally? What do Indians or Asians talk about when they talk about India in Chicago and your profession?
Well, in the more domestic, from the more domestic eye, you know, they can talk about their families, the other people's families. They're very Indian in their culture, but a lot of them still stick to their roots. We have festivals every year, and they're just for, you know, the Indians in the communities in Chicago. In fact, we have a town in Chicago that's called India Town, and it's on the street called Devon, and the best Indian food. Also, when we have Diwali, or we celebrate Diwali, everyone
That's
celebrates.
The Indian New Year.
Yes, the Indian New Year. And in fact, our President Barack Obama, he gave a statement online. It was a 10-minute speech or so, and he's very welcoming.
He was in Chicago for the...
He was not in Chicago for it. I think he was somewhere in D.C. or wherever it was taped at. But it went global. It went
viral.
First addressed.
Viral, yeah.
It went, yes, viral. He first addressed it to the Indians living, East Indians living in America, and you know that's very touching and very inspiring for someone who's not of the Indian culture to recognize it around the world and around America. And you know, it was celebrated in each restaurant over there, or maybe not each restaurant.
You should have cut that tape here. That would have been a great idea.
I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, but we'll link it to this show. From here, what does Philippines do with India? What is your community doing here, Gautam?
Are you asking in terms of social work or in
both,
business?
Trade and culture, both.
Okay, in terms of trade...
No, not social work as in what you do. What I'm saying is in terms of dealing with India. Bilateral, what is happening between Philippines and India?
Well, at the moment, of course, there's a lot of business development that's going on between the two countries.
In what areas, what sectors?
Mostly it would be BPOs. Okay, business process outsourcing, call centers. Indian medicines, of course, and the pharmaceutical side of things are growing heavily over here, and there's a need for that. There's definitely a need for that. And I think in the future there are very big opportunities in things like defense equipment. Specific sectors that people would not really always look at, but defense equipment is one of them. Agribusiness, agri-technology, and I think give Tata and Mahindra a few more years, and I think even
Tata and Mahindra, we need to specify what they are. Tata and Mahindra are one of the bigger conglomerates from India, right?
Yes.
Tata is the people who make Nano.
The Nano, that's right.
The small car. And Mahindra?
Mahindra is also a car manufacturer, but they do other things as well. Aerospace engineering, technology.
Are they the ones who partnered with Benz or?
That's Tata.
That's Tata. Mahindra partnered with?
Mahindra is
Cherokee.
No, they actually use the same platform, but they were never partners.
How about the community here? Are you really active in increasing the bilateral trade? Your chamber, can you tell us a bit about the chamber?
Well, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce, you've interviewed our president before.
That was a year and a half ago during the Independence Day.
That's right, that's right.
2010, 11.
Well, basically, we serve as a platform, as a facilitator between the member corporations and entities and the government.
Right.
And yeah, as far as trade goes, if there are inquiries, if there's anything that needs to be done, we are more than happy to take it up and work between both countries, because we're able to pretty much do both, bridge the gap.
What role do you play, Gautam?
I handle the corporate social responsibility, or charities and social work.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I think charity starts at home. We can all sort of take out food and clothes, and it's an intrinsic moral law. It's an intrinsic thing that we have to give and to do. In Hindi, it's called seva, or to serve, to be of service. That's done anyway. We can do it without any help. It's something that can be done very easily. But to take it to a higher level and to create a platform where we can reach communities and people that are in far-flung places, and we can specifically address requirements and needs, such as livelihood training, things that are more than just giving food and water, things that focus on teaching people how to earn for themselves and move forward.
Where did your personal awareness about this subject matter or this avenue of life come from? Is it from being from a traditional family, or is it because of the environment you lived in the Philippines, or is it because now that you're part and parcel of the Fil-Indian business community? I'm talking about you, Gautam. Where did you pick up these insights and saying that charity begins at home and it's not just about giving food and water? The statement that you just made.
I think it started at a very young age. As a child, I'd see my family, friends.
Your dad was born and raised here, or did he?
He moved here a very, very, very long time ago.
Way before the war, after the war?
A bit after the war.
Okay.
A bit after the war. My grandfather was actually here.
Oh,
before the war.
So you're third generation.
Third generation.
Bombay.
Third generation.
Bombay, okay.
Bumpino, they call it.
Bumpino. I didn't know that. Is there a word
No,
called Bumpino?
I've never heard
I don't
of that.
like it. I actually don't like Bombay too. It's okay. I'm going to live with it because it's the language.
It's the language.
Bumpino.
Bumpino, yeah.
Okay, so.
So basically, you see, living in India or spending time in India, and of course living over here, you see the needs of people and say, all right, well, we are in a position to be able to do so many things. So let's get ourselves organized and make it work for them, and inspire others to say, hey, if you're selling this equipment, it can translate to livelihood. It can translate to
simplified for me. I mean, what equipment? Are you selling electronics? Are you selling houseware, linen? How?
Okay, in my case, we're doing some.
In your company, in your family business case, not in the chamber.
Okay.
No, I'm asking you, when you made a statement saying that when you sell equipment, can you explain that to me? Give me a perspective so I...
Okay, as a person who's selling linen, you can always take the linen that is slightly damaged, that you can't sell, but still very usable, and give them to hospitals, give them to people that need them. If you're selling cooking equipment, don't just give it away. Teach them how to cook. Teach them how to basically appreciate it. Do food processing. Make it a business. So everything you donate, if it's donated the right way and if people are trained, can be a catalyst for their entire lives.
Oh, all right. So teach them how to fish.
Yes.
Not just feed them the fish, but give them a fish and then tell them how to catch more and cook it.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Skill them up. Okay.
Skill them up and make them honest, capable members of society that will not turn to drugs or to rebellious organizations or to gangs or to things like that. So there's a moral aspect in that as well. Moral formation.
Shana, did you ever go through this in Cebu, or are you anyway aware of this in Chicago with the Asian Indian community, or you just focus on your career?
That's actually very interesting. We were talking about this before the show started.
Yeah.
And right when we were about to sit down, he asked me that question, and I guess I'll answer it now.
Is it the same way he asked you the question?
Very similar. He was like, have you ever thought of teaching singing or giving lessons like that? And last year, I came back to the Philippines after being in America for a really long time, and I fell in love with this orphan community called SOS.
In Cebu?
Yes, in Cebu, but they're all over the world. They get children who have no parents, children who are very hard off.
But it's a local brew?
It's actually all over the world, but the government in Cebu, puts it together. They help put it together.
I've heard of SOS.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the full format of SOS?
Save Our Souls.
Yes.
No, not that one. Is it Save Our Souls?
I think so.
Oh, come on. That's
I'll find out. That's a good
okay.
question. I've been involved with them, and I don't even know what that stands for. But I gave speech lessons, public speaking lessons, sort of what like you're doing now, and a lot of them could not talk in front of people because they were so shy and so inhibited, and they didn't have that confidence.
Right.
But it was a class. It started out like a class, and at the end of the class, I said, hey, you know what? I want to do more for these kids, and I don't want to just give them stuff.
Right.
You said,
Yeah.
don't give them fish. Teach them what kind of fish you're looking for, what fish looks pretty, what fish tastes good.
And
give them equipment.
And also not have to abuse the oceans.
Yes.
That's the bigger picture, Not to abuse the oceans,
Yeah. So I did that, and then I said, hey, you guys want to help me teach? I'll be your mentor. You be my protege, and we're going to go out and have classes for the elite members of society in Cebu, and we're going to dress you up, and we're going to make you play the part.
You did this in Cebu?
Yes, I
2
did
years
this
ago?
Last year, 2011.
Wow.
And, they were scared in the beginning because they're facing members of society whom they probably never dreamed of meeting before. They probably, probably their only interaction that they could think of was maybe when they get employed later on in life, they'd be their employers. And I wanted to sort of broaden their perspective in life and say, hey, if you want to do that, fine. If you want to do something bigger, go. I mean, you have the tools. And I told them, you can't think limited. You always got to think big. When you say, pobre man ko, which in Cebuano means
you
poor.
You sing Cebuano or you speak Cebuano?
I speak Cebuano.
I also sing too?
I can sing Cebuano.
We will ask you to hum that. No, but I wish you brought pictures of what you did with SOS and the kids, and I'm sure you did a great job, no?
Yeah.
You have some pictures, Gautam.
Yes.
Yeah? We'll flash them now about the community work that you and your team are doing.
Okay.
And we'll go into a break after we flash the pictures, but we'll talk about the pictures. I'll have them queued up.
Sure.
We'll take a break and we'll come back right after that. But I want to ask you what the future looks like for people of your background, people with a mixed cultural or mixed breeding background. So we'll talk about how the future looks like and how you help design the future for people like you, okay? So let's cue in those pictures from Gautam and see what the community that Gautam represents is doing in this country. Let's wait for those pictures. Gautam, there. What is that, Gautam? You can talk over the pictures.
These are our students and constituents of the livelihood training, and what you see over here is basically students that have no skills
Location?
training. This is in Rizal, Barangay Santana, Rizal.
Time? This year, last year?
This is a few months ago.
Okay.
This is a few months ago, and so they're being trained by Army engineers. Our partners, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, 51st Engineers Brigade and Civil Relations Service.
How did you participate?
I basically planned everything, and I purchased the tools to give them after they graduate from the course. So they have the tools, they have the training.
They're building kubos?
They're building barangay outposts, and so immediately they have employment from the city government per project basis, and in their free time they can work. That is the AFP Vice Chief of Staff and officers from the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and that's our closing ceremony, the graduation ceremony.
I don't see you. Is that you with the beard?
That's me with the goatee,
All
yes.
right, okay.
And so that's our graduation ceremony for the 20 students. Those are the tools we give them. This is in another livelihood training. and we give them a
I want
bag.
to be a part of this.
Oh, sure.
I want to be a part of this. Anytime you do this, anytime you have a need for a person with gray hair born in the 30s, you call me for that. More pictures, or that's it?
That's it for now, yes.
That's it for now. Okay, let's take the break and then we'll come back and talk to you about how the future looks like, and Shana would like a sample of your talent.
All right.
And whether it's in Cebuano or Angles or in Indian, it'll be okay, all right? Let's take the break and come back and we'll talk to Shana and Gautam some more about being a global Filipino Indian. Welcome back to ExPat InSights. We are talking to Mr. Gautam Dadlani, the Director of Social Services in the Indian Chamber.
Yes.
Yeah? And Shana Siap, singer, actress, and teacher. Teacher who has been teaching ever since she was a kid. A Cebuana, and she's going to give us a little Cebuano hum, a song, a number, some musical a cappella. You want to go?
Yeah, do you want me to do it right now?
Okay, you want to stand up?
I can sit down.
Sit down. Okay, ready? On your marks.
Your microphone's tied to the chair, so you better
so
sit.
I can bring.
Okay.
Nganong giti-aw-ti-awan ang gugma ko kanimo daw.
Wow! Wait, what was that? Translate.
Usahay. It's this Visayan song that's popular. It's a love song.
And what did it say?
Wow.
It's about this girl who's pining over this guy.
I'm glad she's pining over a guy.
And
You know,
it's
the
just
words
all
very
about
different.
time.
Pining, and she's like, "Why am I torturing myself over you?"
Why do I have to do this? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
and yeah, so it's about pining.
And you know the whole song?
I do.
Yeah, so you'll give us the ending of it. Did you get the guy or not? Any other language? No Indian. You don't do Bombay.
I know the bad words.
Not the place for it.
Mhm.
And we'll ask you to do a little English number or whatever you choose to at the end of it, no?
Okay.
Gautam, now community work, which you just showed, no? What does the future look to you? What kind of world are you creating being a global Fil-Indian? Realizing the fact that it's a flat world today. What are you creating, people?
I think, at least in my capacity as in this role that I have,
Yeah.
I think it's basically inspiring people and letting them know that they can be catalysts for change.
Okay.
You know? It's not all about yourself or your business or your family
Right.
or how you live and what you drive and where you live and where you eat and all of that. There has to be a sense of belonging to a greater community, to a larger part
Like
of
the
society.
song that we were looking at a while ago talks about that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we just have to engage people,
Yeah.
you know, creatively and make them say, all right, I can
So
do this.
besides going out there doing livelihood training and providing some social good, what is your strategy in doing that as a chamber? What are you doing as a community rather than a chamber?
Well, as a community, I think it's basically
Most of you guys are business people,
Yes,
and some of you are in banking.
banking, BPOs,
Right.
pharmaceuticals.
But big picture strategy, what is it? What are you driving at and how?
Make money the clean, honest way.
Okay.
Share your blessings. Be happy. Live in
Yeah.
a better world, and that's
Yeah.
it. It's very simple.
What are your plans for the year coming up, 2012, or what have you done that aligns with that strategy?
Well, basically, we're working on other forms of social development. So we're working now with women, and we're trying to come up with a program where we teach reflexology, basic beauty care, something for kids where we engage them in more learning activities, distribution of school notebooks, school books, school bags, things like that. Things that are useful more than once. You know, I mean, giving food is very, very important, but it's something that you can do at home. This is something that you need to plan and organize, and people see a greater good in the cause. So that's what I have lined up.
And what have been your successes in 2011?
We have had,
Besides the one in Rizal?
Oh, we've had one in Rizal, one in Karanglan. We've had, I'd say, over 20 eye camps, and we've given a lot of classes. We've done medical missions. Recently, the tragedy in the CDO and Iligan, We've focused
when
on...
the crisis happened in Sendong?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Sendong, the crisis, yeah?
Sendong, we basically focused on giving clean water. There's an outbreak of leptospirosis, and there are a lot of canned goods, a lot of... It's something really bad.
Let's not hear about it.
Without getting into those details. We basically focused on giving clean water because that's what people needed. Clothes, of course, shoes, and construction materials, because everyone's giving food, but there's no place for people to stay. So it's very important for you to understand what you're doing before you start giving donations. And if you want to make a difference, it has to be a useful difference. Understand the situation before you sign the checks and start donating.
And when you fund this, because this obviously requires some funding, how do you go about it? Does it come from out of your pockets, or do you make it self-sustaining? How do you go about it?
It definitely comes from the
pockets of the businessman?
The businessmen. I'd like to think it's a CSR platform.
Right.
So they see something that they like. The chamber presents what we're doing, and we've had tremendous support. People come forward, sometimes publicly and very often privately. A lot of our members say, you know what, we don't want anybody to know, but we like what you're doing. We're very grateful. Please, take our donations and see wherever you'd like to.
I'd like to explore that. Shana, I don't know if you're interested in that, but what about the Indian wants to keep a low profile? Because you mentioned that there are people who do the work, seva as you call it, and why do you want to keep a low profile? Why don't you want to be seen or heard or recognized for it? What is your reason behind it, or what is the philosophical reason behind that?
Well, I think
it's not fear.
It's not fear, not at all, not at all. The human tendency to get carried away with personal elation and all of that.
Okay. I can explain that. When you get attention, this is coming from the fact that I was born in the 50s, no? When you get attention, you get addicted to attention, and thus it enlarges your ego.
Yes.
And to an abnormal level, which is not good. So if I'm assuming this is the reason, and if your folks, if your elders are doing this, saying that we don't want recognition, is because not because they're afraid or because they don't want the recognition, they don't want the recognition to affect their being, to affect their psyche and make their psyche larger than reality. Absolutely. So they want to stay anchored in reality and probably make it a cause for developing humility. I think that's a cause. I was trained for that, so I applaud that. And perhaps you should make a case out of that and explain that this is a changed world. It doesn't need to be that way anymore, because if you put it out today and it multiplies, but if you just do it very quietly, it doesn't multiply as fast. This is my suggestion to your community, no?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a fine line, I think, between saying, people, this is what we're doing, you can get involved, you can make yourself useful, versus we, this company, so and so, this institute has done so much. So you have to know where the fine line is and stay on the other side.
All right, let's leave the heavy part away, and let's go to Shana and talk about how she is, how people like her in her industry are going to grab the world stage. Shana, so what's your strategy? What's your discipline that makes you such a wonderful performer?
I think you have to have both the desire and the technique on which you show yourself. So I think my desire and my talent are one to show it off. Another part of it is the marketing. So if you have a good marketing strategy, you can put yourself out there. Right now, the best way I see it is through online. So what I do is I perform. And I work on my voice, I work on my concept, and then I show it off online. And I just wait for people to see it, to hear it, to comment about it, and that's how people like me, performers, get their talent out there as quick as possible. A lot of performers, they do it because they love it, they do it because they want to inspire the world through their art.
Hey, Gautam, you're from a marketing background?
Business management.
You think that's going to work? That's going to plug you up
Sure.
going to promote you just going online and doing it? Does it require a bigger strategy, a little bit bigger resources to back you up, to make it big?
I don't think so.
This is the way to go. This is the way to go, is
yeah.
go on the stage and then put yourself on the cyber stage too.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it.
It actually, you start out that way. You
Yeah.
want to get heard, you start out that way, and then people start hearing about you.
Yeah.
They contact you, they ask you to perform live, and then when you perform live, plug in
Wow.
your site, get more people to you, and then you think about little strategies here and there, how to get, you know,
Right. So
more
a lot of
exposure.
linking and networking.
Yeah.
So tell us, you're coming back from Sinulog.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about Sinulog, what you did, and how important is Sinulog to a Cebuano like you?
Sinulog is the festival of Señor Santo Niño. He was
Right.
the figure that represented baby Jesus in the
No, not about
1500s.
Sinulog, what you did.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually was asked to come back from the United States to sing.
Cebu flies you in. The
Cebu
government
flew
of
me
Cebu
in.
flies you.
They
Whoa,
flew me
okay.
in and to give them a song,
Yeah.
or two, actually it was 2 songs,
Yeah.
on separate occasions. It's a month-long festival, and it's commenced on the 3rd Sunday
Yeah.
of January,
Yeah.
where there's this grand dance parade. And so a few days before, I sang in several events, and there was about 60,000 people
Gee.
there cheering and,
Yeah.
and, you know, really having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then on the day of Sinulog itself, the festival, I anchored from on TV morning till it
We're going to ask you to hum anything you want, anything
Okay.
from your heart, not right away. How do people get in touch with you? You want to announce your website, contact numbers, and you want to give anything that closes up this session? We're about to wrap up.
Sure.
And 1 minute for that, 1 minute for you, and then a number, and we say bye-bye. Gautam.
I think you just Google FICCI.
FICCI, FICCI.
FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce, Incorporated, Philippines.
Yeah.
There's a Multiply, there's a Facebook, there's of course a website. Our director Hiren has taken care of many ways and means to get in touch with us, and you can see videos, pictures, and other things like that. And of course you can get in touch with Mr. Mandian over here, who will take care of putting you in touch to us, and we'd be happy to help. Yeah,
okay.
Raju. Okay.
Thank you for doing that. That was nice of you. Okay. So we find you through Google, and if people need help or people want to offer help, they find you on FICCI.
Yes,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Shana?
You can get in touch with me via www.thiswayup.tv. or you can-
Thiswayup.tv?
Yes, or you can Google Ms.Shana Dagny Siap.
Dagny Siap.
Yes.
All right, so let's close with a little belt number. 60 seconds.
Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me.
All righty. Thank you very much for being on this show. That was very good. Gautam
so much.
Dadlani, good luck
Thank
with
you.
all you do. And Shana, may you make it to the world stage, and hope the Filipino, Indian, and the Cebuano community becomes more proud of you compared to what they're today in the coming years. So God bless you and Godspeed. Salamat and mabuhay. Thank you for watching ExPat InSights. These were our guests, Gautam Dadlani and Shana Siap, Dagny Siap. And this is Raju Mandian, your host for ExPat InSights. Good night and mabuhay.